welcome to News Now. A suicide bomber has killed 15 persons and injured 53 others at a motor park in Potiskum in Yobe State, northeast Nigeria. The incident occurred at the Tasha Damborno motor park. It's the second of such attack in the last 72 hours in the commercial town of Potiskum. Witnesses say the suicide bomber had boarded a bus headed for Kano State at the park before detonating his explosives, killing himself and 14 others on the bus. A nursing officer at the hospital where the victims of the blast were taken to was reported to have said this was the worst suicide bombing to be recorded since the commencement of the insurgency in northeast Nigeria. On Sunday, 5 persons lost their lives and 40 others were left injured after a female suicide bomber detonated a bomb at a farm market at the same town. No group has claimed responsibility for both attacks, but it is widely believed the deadly Islamist sect Boko Haram is responsible. Now, just a few hours after a suicide bomber now killed 15 people and injured another 53 in Potiskum, Yobe State, 2 suicide bombers killed another 12 persons, including the 2 suicide bombers in Kano. The incident, which has been confirmed by Police Commissioner in the state, Ibrahim Idris, is a replica of the Potiskum bombing. The bombing happened at the Kano Line Motor Park, which is located on the Zaria Road in the ancient city. Now, Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima says, actually, I should say, President Goodluck Jonathan has actually been reacting to the bombing incident and has actually condemned it. He described what Boko Haram is doing as a clear sign of desperation, and that what the sect is actually doing is basically targeting what he calls soft target. Now, he commiserated with victims of the Kano and Yobe blasts and promised the country that his administration will bring the Boko Haram insurgency to an end. He also said that he would ensure that the military gets all the equipment it needs to end the Boko Haram insurgency once and for all. Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima says 90% of the ongoing battle to reclaim seized territories under the Boko Haram is being carried out by the Nigerian armed forces. The governor debunked some reports attributing the success of the military operations to foreign troops. Shettima said this while meeting with the new commander of the 79 Composite Group, Nigerian Air Force, Maiduguri Air Commodore Christopher A.E. Ogboba. Speaking during the meeting, which was held at the government house in Maiduguri, Shettima said while efforts of Nigeria's neighbors were very much appreciated, most of the job of routing Boko Haram is done by the country's military. The Nigerian military, in conjunction with troops from Chad, Cameroon and Niger Republic, have been pounding Boko Haram on various fronts in Nigeria's northeast. They have so far succeeded in turning the tide against the militant sect in the ongoing counterinsurgency military operations. The trial of Femi Fani-Kayode, the director of media of President Goodluck Jonathan campaign organization, resumed today at the Federal High Court in Lagos. Fani-Kayode is standing trial on a 40-count charge of money laundering while he was Minister of Aviation. At the resumed hearing of the case, a defense witness, Kola Olapoju, the administrator of a property belonging to late Remi Fani-Kayode, father of the defendant, tendered a document accompanied with receipts of payments made by tenants in the property. The witness said the money allegedly paid into Fani-Kayode's account with Inland Bank was not from the Ministry of Aviation, but the proceeds of rent paid by tenants occupying his late father's house. But EFCC's lawyer Festus Keyamo objected to the tendering of the document in court, arguing that both the document and the receipts of payments allegedly made by the tenants living in the house were not duly stamped. Presiding Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia agreed with the prosecution and refused to admit the document as exhibit.
I'm not supposed to comment so much on what is going on in court, but they opened up with their first witness today. And I think I should cross-examine tomorrow, so I'm getting ready for that.
In another ruling, the judge ordered the release of Fani Kayode's international passport, which had been seized by the EFCC. She ordered the anti-graft agency to submit the passport to the Deputy Chief Registrar of the Lagos Division of the Federal High Court to allow Fani Kayode access to it. The judge, however, added that if Fani Kayode needed the passport, he should file and address a formal application to the court, copying the Attorney General of the Federation. He is also to disclose his intended destination and the purpose of his travel in the said application, and shall not be allowed to stay out of the country for more than 31 days until the conclusion of his trial. Fani Kayode had, through his lawyer Wale Akoni, filed an application asking the court to order the release of his passport and grant him permission to travel out of the country. The judge granted the application since the EFCC did not object to it. She gave the EFCC 7 days to produce the passport.
His international passport had been with the EFCC in the last 7 years or so, and we think he should be allowed to attend to some of his basic businesses. And we made an application which the court had graciously granted, with the court insisting, however, that whenever he wishes to travel, he should write to the court to let the court know exactly where he is going to. And we believe that is fair enough, since he does not intend to abscond. And so we'll comply with the order.
Fani Kayode was arraigned before Justice Ajumogobia on an amended 40-count charge bordering on money laundering to the tune of 100,219,500 naira while serving as a Minister of Aviation. He was specifically accused of conducting financial transactions exceeding 500,000 naira, which was not done through a financial institution, by accepting cash payments of various sums, which was further carried in cash to former Inland Bank, now First City Monument Bank PLC, through some of his associates. According to the EFCC, the alleged offense violated sections 15(1)(a), B, C, D, and 15(2)(a)(b) of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2004. Fani Kayode, however, denied the allegations, upon which the prosecution, led by Mr. Festus Keyamo, opened its case on March 10, 2014 and closed it on July 10, 2014, calling a total of 6 witnesses in the process. In response to the prosecution, Fani Kayode filed a no-case application, insisting that the prosecution had not established a prima facie case against him to warrant him entering any defense. He asked the court to quash the charges and set him free. The judge discharged and acquitted him of all the charges, with the exception of 2 bordering on money laundering, which the judge ordered him to enter a defense for.
I'm very confident. We started at 19.5 billion. It was knocked down to 200 million naira, which I was accused of stealing, from 19.5 billion to 200 million, then to 100 million, then to 99 million, and now we're down to 1 million and 1.1 million naira. I'm accused of laundering. That's about $5,000 each, accused of laundering that. I've done absolutely nothing wrong. We have consistently protested our innocence in this matter. We're glad to be in court. I'm glad that we're now presenting our defense, and I'm very, very confident that this matter will be over soon and I'll be able to get my life back.
The court actually held that there was a case in respect of those 2 counts. It's not me that said so, it's the court that said so. So that means there is some kind of prima facie evidence, and we're prepared to go on with that. And I'm sure you know too that in the world of criminal law, 1 count is enough. I hope you know that. So nobody should downplay the fact that only 2 counts are remaining. 1 count is enough in criminal jurisprudence.
The case has been adjourned to the next day. Now, a pressure group, Nigerians United for Democracy, has held a rally at the Gani Fayami Freedom Park in Lagos, demanding that the government must not contemplate another postponement of Nigeria's elections. Elections initially scheduled for February 14th this year had to be postponed when Nigeria's military chiefs told the country's electoral body that it could not guarantee security and that it would need at least 6 weeks to bring the insurgency in the northeast of the country under control so that elections could take place there. The protesters, led by human rights lawyer Femi Falanas, warned that another shift in the election date would be resisted by the people.
Take it from me. That is the only body allowed by the Constitution, Section 153, to advise the president on the security of the nation, not service chiefs. The service chiefs, if they have any information, they will pass it to the Minister of Defense, who is the political head of the ministry. Service chiefs cannot work to the president directly. They can't work to INEC. There's no nexus legally. So what they did the last time was a clear usurpation of the powers of the police and that of the INEC. And it was blackmail to say we have an operation in 14 local governments out of 774 and 6 area councils in Abuja. The country has 780 local governments. If you add the 6 area councils in Abuja, to say you have a problem in 14 of them, therefore there should be no election in other places, it doesn't add up. If I was Jega, if you want to know my view, I would have said, thank you for your advice. Send your letter to the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. He's the only one who can advise you. And Section 158 of the Constitution says, the INEC shall not be subject to the control or directive of anybody. So when they went to the Council of State, that's a merely advisory body, Jega went there, sorry, we are ready. And those people said, please, don't put trouble in our whatever. Go and do your own thing. Jega could have been advised on his own. And I believe very strongly, on the basis of the fact that there were people who had not got their PVC, I would think INEC should have on its own consider postponement in the circumstance. But where INEC was now blackmailed by security, and you know the danger is this, Jega has now told the old, we are ready, but we cannot guarantee that the election will go on. Assuming again the security chiefs, I mean, that's my understanding, come out again to say, oh, we have not finished the operation, you can't go ahead. Then the country now, I think we are back to military rule. And that is why we must put these guys in their place.
Now, let's take a break here. And when we come back, we'll look at business stories. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on TV360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions. Welcome back. Nigeria's oil minister and president of OPEC, Diezani Alison Madueke, says she may call an extraordinary meeting of the oil cartel if crude oil prices fall any further. Analysts say it's a sign of growing alarm over the impact of oil collapse on oil-producing economies. In an interview with the Financial Times, Mrs. Alison Madueke said she's already talking with member countries with a view to calling the meeting to discuss the possibility of cutting output to shore up prices, a move that might be a hard sell for an influential member like Saudi Arabia that has consistently opposed any cut in output. The OPEC president said most OPEC countries, with the exception of very few, are uncomfortable with the situation. Now, both Venezuela and Iran have been pushing the cartel to cut output in a bid to reverse the more than 50% drop in prices since June last year. In November, the 12-member group chose to hold production at 30 million barrels a day. Now, Nigeria's finance minister, I should say, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, says the decision by the country's central bank to suspend the retail Dutch auction system of the foreign exchange market is the right one that would ease the pressure on the naira. The naira went into a free fall after the country's apex bank says it would no longer be selling dollars through the retail Dutch auction system, but would only intervene in the interbank market when the need arises. Okonjo-Iweala says the government would soon unveil some measures to back up the monetary policy and stabilize the economy. Now, in the wake of the downward slide in the value of the naira, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, seems to be the biggest loser on the Nigerian rich list. This is because the business mogul is reported to have lost more than $7.8 billion owing to the fall in the naira and the value of stock prices. Reports say Dangote's net worth has dropped to $17.2 billion from $25 billion Forbes had claimed he owned in February. Dangote deals in a wide range of commodities, including cement, salt, flour, sugar, spaghetti, and others. Dangote Cement is Africa's largest manufacturer of cement and has actually shared close to 40% of its market value between the beginning of November and this very moment. Now, the company's stocks, which was trading at 215 naira at the beginning of November, is now valued at 165 naira. That's about 88 cents as at yesterday. Also, at the beginning of November, Dangote's stake in the cement manufacturer was valued at more than $18 billion. It is now valued at $13.2 billion. Now, the report also adds that between November and now, Dangote has also lost more than $230 million in paper value on his stakes in publicly traded Dangote Sugar, Dangote Flour, and National Salt Company of Nigeria. Now, the business mogul is believed to have lost a net worth valued at $4 billion. Second on the biggest losers list is chairman of Highest Holding, Tony Elumelu, who is reported to have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Elumelu's investment in some listed companies like UBA, Africa Prudential PLC, and UBA Capital have reduced by a little over $27 million in value. His Highest Holdings, which is the controlling shareholder in Transcore, a publicly listed conglomerate with interest in power production, hotels, and agriculture, as its market capitalization is now $700 million, down from $1.4 billion at the beginning of November. Now, Highest Holding has lost an estimated $345 million in paper value on Transcore, and its stake in the company as at yesterday is now worth roughly $400 million, down from $700 million. Another loser is Jim Ovia, who is the co-founder of Zenith Bank. The value of his stake has reduced from $350 million to $240 million. Well, what can I say? Now, the steep fall in government revenue as a result of falling oil prices is now taking its toll on the subsidy reinvestment program, SureP. The government now plans to end the program this year with depleted revenue from oil.
So we have to work very hard.
Hundreds of beneficiaries of the Graduate Internship Scheme run as part of the SureP program assembled in this hall to assess the program so far. Head of SureP, Martin Luther Agwai, told the gathering that it's over 3 years of existence, SureP has been able to achieve its objectives.
The issue of youth unemployment in Nigeria is no news. Statistics show that over 300,000 Nigerian graduates leave our universities to the labor market with little or no job placement. Thus, the need to address the unemployment is a focused component to inform many of our interventions of the SureP program. Each and every of our interventions is, in the past 3 years, has capacity building embedded in it, so that young Nigerians and others, including our graduates, can benefit directly from the projects, not just monetarily, but in terms of teaching them skills, patriotism, and imparting training as well. To date, SureP has created directly over 275,000 jobs. In the case of GIS, the objective is to reduce the number of unemployed graduates and enhance the employability of at least 50,000 unemployed graduates in all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory by the end of this year.
Speaking specifically on the graduate internship scheme, Minister of Finance Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said in 2014 alone, 245,100 unemployed youth were registered into the scheme, while 21,000 were actually deployed. She said 2,000 eventually exited the program and 500 others got employed.
And we spent about 5 billion naira in the 3 years that this has been on to try and develop, support, and pay our interns. We've also developed very transparent means, as one of the employers earlier on said from the Ondo State government, that the means of managing this program biometrically, clearly, openly have been very, very transparent. And I think that that's another hallmark of the program, which I think needs to be applauded. And I just want to tell you that there's another opportunity out there, which is that we have several venture capital funds that the government has seeded, this government, to help those of you who exit and start your own business. With the UWIN program, we started a venture capital fund attached to that of about $50 million equivalent, because we want to attract inflows from outside also. And that venture capital fund is not just for UWIN people. Any other people from TRS who start a business and they are worthy of being expanded can be invested in from that program. I wanted to mention that.
The government initiated the graduate internship scheme as a means to plug a hole in Nigeria's massive unemployment crisis. Through the scheme, graduates are given placement in government agencies and private companies as interns to enable them acquire work experience before that could eventually secure them permanent jobs. Interns receive a monthly stipend from the government during the one-year internship program.
For me, it has worked, and for so many others that I know, it has worked. It's just all about putting yourself, as in making yourself available and making it work out for you. But so far, it has worked. Most times when you go for job search, you find out that they are requesting for at least 1 year experience. And how do you expect an out-of-school graduate to have a job experience when they've never worked? But if you get this kind of internship experience for 1 year and you apply yourself to the job that you're doing, then I'm sure with that you can be able to sell yourself when you attend interviews and it will get you the job.
It's a good initiative anyway, and we so much thank the government for providing this for us. At least it has made us to engage ourselves in something. Either we've been idle, we are still doing something, and we are practicing what we studied in school, which is very, very good for us. Shuapi
has primarily been sustained by oil money, savings from the removal of oil subsidy, but the subsidy has been seriously eroded by plummeting oil prices, which has significantly reduced government earnings. It's partly for this reason that the head of the program told the gathering here that Shuapi is at an end.
I wish to note that Shuapi will soon come to an end. And when the instrument that created Shuapi was clear, it's an intervention organization and it's from 2012 to 2015. We are in 2015, so don't be surprised, there's nothing new.
Well, General Martin Luther talked about the fact that because of the drop in the price of oil, the monies for Shuapi are diminished and might be coming to an end. But he mentioned something very important that I want to reiterate. This program is not coming to an end. This program is a top priority for the government. Any program that has to do with getting our youth employed, getting them trained, getting them the skills they need is a top priority. And I just wanted to assure you that we will continue to support this program. We are listening to what you said. We will even want to have a dialogue with the firms, our private sector partners that are engaged in employing, and our state partners, but mostly private sector, to say, okay, as one of the employers,
Now to some sports. The FIFA Task Force has recommended a shorter tournament to be staged in November and December 2022. Head of the Asian Football Federation, Sheikh Salman bin Al Khalifa, made the revelation today ahead of the next FIFA meeting, where the recommendation is expected to be ratified. There are no plans to reduce the size of the tournament from 32 teams or 64 matches, but the tournament will be shortened by a matter of days. If ratified in Zurich in March, the recommendation will set FIFA on a collision course with major European football leagues who prefer an April-May option to minimize disruption to their lucrative domestic programs. Previous World Cups have been held in the month of June and July in each World Cup year. Nigeria Football Federation boss Amaju Pinnick will visit the managers of English Premier League sides Chelsea and Manchester City. The football administrator, who had earlier met with Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger, will meet with Jose Mourinho and Manuel Pellegrini on his continued tour of England. While justifying his visit, Pinnick said a good relationship with the managers will help the country when it needs to invite its players who are currently plying their trades in those clubs. He added that his meeting with Arsene Wenger on the Nigerian players in the Arsenal squad was also fruitful. Now to some interesting story. A 10-year-old Nigerian girl, Esther Okade, has blazed a trail among children her age who spend their spare time playing with Barbie dolls and making loom bands now, just like she does. She has just gained admission into the university to study mathematics. Now, what makes her case very interesting is that she has never gone to school. Esther from Walsall, West Midlands in the United Kingdom has enrolled on an open university course months after she passed her A-levels and wants to study for PhD before running her own bank. The girl, who gained a C grade in her mathematics GCSE aged 6, has joined the course, which started this month. Her younger brother Isaiah Okade is already studying for his A-levels, also aged 6. The siblings are both homeschooled by their mother, Omanefe Okade, who has converted the living room of their semi-detached 3-bedroom house into a makeshift classroom. Now, mathematician Omanefe, 37, said, quote, "Esther is doing so well. She took a test recently and scored 100%. Applying to the university was an interesting process because of her age. We even had to talk to the vice-chancellor after they interviewed her. They realized that this has been her idea from the beginning. From the age of 7, Esther has wanted to go to the university," end of quote. Now, that's the mother speaking. Now, this is quite a wonderful story. Really interesting. And, well, quite interesting that she is a Nigerian. Really proud of her. That's it on News Now. We thank you for watching. We're back again shortly.